Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and NBs of all ages, it with my deepest pride and greatest pleasure to welcome you back to Brian's Mind Palace. That's me. I'm Brian. This is my mind, isn't it? Well, something. And joining me today, we have the illustrious Ivora Hain on the call sheet, Jonathan. Hello.
Hi, Brian. I should clarify, I don't have that many consonants at the end of the name, but it's nice to have a few extra just in case. But yeah,
It's the Norwegian variant.
yeah, that's true. Actually, they insist upon those letters. I think it's just for in case someone freezes over in the winter.
For those of you who do not know what the heck we are doing right now, this is Dungeons and Dragons with just one person, where I will be taking the role of the dungeon master, the person just evoking and provoking a story that we tell that will be decided through various rolling of little polyhedral dice. We've done this before, and if you're watching this one and you haven't watched the others, please do have a look at the other bits of the series, especially this one, because this is a return to form. We're joining back with our friend Dan Morton.
Yes.
Office worker extraordinaire, quite frankly, the blandest man on the planet, who has just completed some HR training and received a lovely new phone book. Such as his penchants, his hobbies include collecting phone books. He's not exactly the thriller in Manila. So without knowing what Dan has gotten up to, Jonathan,
Yes.
as we go through, I will be explaining to people who do not know what exactly we're doing, but this is a new roll today. Can you roll a D6 for me to see how many levels of HR training Dan has gone through?
Oh, okay, interesting. Right, a D6 here, and he's gone for 2.
He has completed a further 2 levels of HR training. The HR training that happened last time was creative. And if you've seen it, you've seen it. And if you haven't, go watch it. So, can you please now make an intensity roll for what was his second level of HR training?
Certainly. And that is a 17.
So, our intensity checks, for those who don't know, we'll be rolling a d20 as a 20-sided dice, and the level and the maximum you can roll on a d20 is 20. So this is a pretty intense roll. This was 17. And the third level, could you roll an intensity for me?
Third level, 11.
Okay. He's riding the wave. He's riding the wave. So, I'll be calling on John to make a intensity check, which will determine the style of story that we are going for, and there will also be a failure or success roll. Below 10, failure. Above 10, success. So, where do you think Dan has completed 2 levels of HR training? The first of which was very active. The second of which I imagine being quite cerebral and contained. And then the third one he has completed was I think Dan's getting a little bit used to this. How is Dan adapting to these new initiatives in his indescript company?
Uh, Yeah, the first one was a bit of a culture shock to him to a degree, considering human interaction wasn't really in his remit when he started. And then the second one was a very intense on human interaction to that degree. So I think he was given like a random presentation and he had to kind of bumble his way through it, which he did competently. I think the third one then was he had to sit in a room of complete strangers and spark up small talk, which he passed. So now, after those 2 intense days of human conversation, he has initiated some small talk in the office, in the elevator, sometimes at lunchtime. But still understanding of personal boundaries and of his own shortcomings with conversation. So he keeps it to a brief minimums of weather, sport, politics, and whatever things he noticed on his walk in to work.
And where is Dan at the moment? Is he at home? Is he in the office?
Um, yeah, let's say for argument's sake, he's at home. Yeah.
Okay. Can you make the first success or failure roll for me to determine his alarm?
Okay. 11.
Okay, so he awakes. His alarm goes off, and he's just pot. He has plenty of time. Something that Dan might have been a stickler for time management before, liking to arrive exactly on time and on time being early. But he's seeing the a lack of rigidity is being forced upon him. Today is the most dreaded of all office worker days. It is casual Friday. Knowing full well that the last couple of times he showed up to work in the exact same outfits he wore prior, there was something of odd looks from his co-workers. And knowing the scrutiny that he is under doing this current HR program, do you think Dan would push the boat out a little bit? And could you make an intensity roll to determine the level of garishness of his attire?
Okay. A 4.
Okay. Dan would have been a man for lovely, stale, slate grey. And now he has gone for just a slightly darker, even hinting on black. It's quite dramatic for him. Um, he's actually bordering on stylish. He has stepped out of Dunn Stores and stepped into River Island.
Hmm.
There's almost tailoring. How do you think Dan feels out of his usual attire?
Very different and slightly concerned about how people will know how people will see him as, I think would be the first assessment.
Okay. Um, there's a in the same way when you go to a costume party and you've not yet made it to the costume party, you still have to get on the bus dressed like a giant lobster, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so Dan now is walking to work, him feeling ridiculously out of place. To everyone else, it's actually looking slightly more stylish and, if anything, bordering on handsome. So walking to work, his alarm has gone off as it is. The routine has followed perfectly. This is Friday, so there's a lot of rush and buzz and fun times to be had by all. And as Dan is going to work exactly on time, he noticed some children in the park kicking a football. So could you make a success or failure roll to see where that ball happens to go?
14.
A successful goal scored in an unnetted park goal, and the ball does careen and glide directly towards Dan,
Hmm.
successfully landing at his feet. It is directly in front of him. There is none of this, sure, it's gone behind me, I can't get it. There are school children calling him to kick it back. What would Dan do?
I think Dan will recognize what it is, what it's meant, what it's designed for. He'll hear the children kicking, asking to kick it back. It would be a good bit of a distance away, I would imagine. So he's just going to pick up the ball and try and get someone to hand it off for him because he's a bit worried that he will miss. kicking the ball.
Fantastic. I will take. Give me an intensity check from the kids to see what they would say.
Okay. A two.
Yeah, they go dead quiet.
Hmm.
There is there is beyond silence now. You know when you've been a man who've been on the terraces. Quiet in a stadium is louder than anything else. The kids have gone
Hmm.
from, yeah, kick the ball, kick the. Like, there's no one else around, and Dan is holding the ball now. What would he do?
I think he was expecting some of the children to come and retrieve the ball from him, so he's just going to likely roll the ball halfway and then continue on his work and on his walk.
Okay. I'm gonna make note of this. Could you make a success or failure roll for me?
12.
Okay, yeah, like he rolls enough down a slope, goes to the kids, and the ball gets to them.
Hmm.
Maybe not with the level of theatricality that they may have wanted, but the ball makes its way. Dan moving along now. He's still on time because early is on time for Dan. Makes his way into reception and the person at the front desk goes, Dan! Dan? Casual Friday. Wow! You. Oh my God! You look great, but I'm after losing money.
Money in what sense?
There was an office pool to see if you'd actually show up in something different than you normally wear. But you know what? It's worth the fiver. You look great.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. I was just trying something different.
You know what? Different suits you.
I'll keep that in mind. Enjoy your casual Friday.
The lady at the front desk is like full on Hawaiian shirt with like puka necklaces and like straw hat. Her usual like uh coffee mug is replaced with like a coffee tiki
Tiki
mug.
mug, yeah,
It's
yeah.
gone. They are having fun in this organized environment today because they have to. Moving on to the elevator. Can you make a success or failure roll for me to see? Is Dan joined by people who wish to socially engage?
Okay. 14.
He is successful in that there's no one in the elevator to casually
Dan breathes a
decline.
sigh of relief.
Yeah, he's after getting away with it. Um, moving up to the floor now, and he's is he gonna clock in? Is he going to grab a cup of tea? What's he at? Where's Dan's head at?
Yeah, he's going to clock in. He's already had his morning nourishment, so he's clocked in and ready to go.
Excellent. There's a familiar email from HR stating HR training level 4 will commence on the sound of the klaxon. Dan, I wouldn't imagine Dan's aware of the new alert system that has been placed into the company. Much like when you're driving a car, you're able to use a horn to indicate uh, directly to your fellow passengers. The management board have decided that they want to try and pump through a little bit of whimsy and a bit of joy towards their day, a la the Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers fare. As people are moving throughout meetings, they will play soundboarded music and effects just to try and liven things up a bit. And Dan will be informed of level 4 on a very classic and time honored of which there is a link he is able to click
Mm,
to know exactly what noise he will be responding to. Dan goes about his day, kind of with that sense of, when you're expecting a call.
mm.
Ugh, ugh. Okay, it's gonna come. Walking around every corner, every other hoop and holler from the Tannoy system. Was that a no, 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 no. Just ever so slightly getting more and more anxious. If you make an intensity roll for me to see where's Dan's state at the moment. How's he feeling?
18.
Yeah, the boy's rattling. Boy's rattling. Like this is bordering on abuse at this stage. You will have a meeting very suddenly when we tell you to. Dan's after going through morning, tea break, and he is just about to head on. In fact, I'm going to ask for subsequent rolls off you to see.
Okay.
Morning, tea break, and lunch.
All right.
Could you give me a success or failure roll for morning time?
Okay. That's an 18 as well.
Okay, he successfully moves through his morning. Happy out. No big klaxon rung.
Mm-hmm.
He gets past his tea break. Is just about to sit down. Can you make a success or failure roll for just after tea break?
13.
Successful again. So we're up to lunch. Dun, 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 dun.
I'll go again. And that is a 16.
Dan is going throughout his day knowing full well that this is looming upon him. He's made it now to he had his pre-lunch and now he's just at the post-lunch. Can you give me another success or failure?
Okay. 5.
Just after lunch. What does Dan have for lunch typically?
Usually it's something very kind of like, filling and nutritious. So he normally goes for crackers and
Excellent.
some water.
Does he take on any of the custom made burritos that are available now for Casual Friday?
I don't think he's aware of it.
Okay.
Or if he is, he's long since forgotten.
So he is adequately nutritionally fulfilled, and just as he goes back to work, he hears the ooh ah. Level 4 participants, please make your way to the top floor. Dan's been called. Luckily enough, he's gonna need that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you roll that D6 for me to see how many other participants there might be?
Okay. 5.
So 6 total. Fantastic. All of Dan's previous HR training has been relatively solo about him, what he should do, whether it was the first one of the chase, the second one of being like quite isolated and having to do like a presentation to nothing, and then the prompting him to make social engagement. This is the first time that people have been on the same level, called in at the same time. So, is Dan gonna acquiesce and go straight to the meeting?
Yeah, I think he'll finish whatever task he was doing, which will be quick enough, and then sign out, take all the precautions he needs, and then head to the elevator and go to the top floor.
Can you make a intensity check for me, please?
11.
I think Dan's getting used to this unpredictability. The top floor we have seen before is a wide open, seamlessly barren open plan office, of which Dan is called to again and again and again. And its form changes on site. Today, Dan sees before him what looks to be a bouncy castle assault course. There's a start and there is a clear end. The usual HO representative is there, signing people in. Dan is the last to enter. Everyone else has moved off and are they seem like they're actually enjoying it. Like, this is, hey, great. Casual Friday, and we get to have a little pal about. Oh, this best day ever. How's Dan feeling?
Um, he has never seen anything like this before. This is completely alien to him. He doesn't understand what it is.
The he goes up to the HR representative. Dan, looking rather sharp today. Slightly more formal attire than we were expecting, but the color palette really does suit you.
Thank you for the compliment. I'm just trying to fit in.
Can you be so kind as to remove your shoe?
Is there a reason why?
Well, as you can see, there's a inflated kind of course over there. So if you were to stand on them with your very formal footwear, we'd be afraid it might just pop, and that wouldn't qualify for excellent health and safety standards, now would it?
I understand what you're saying, but is this part of the training?
Absolutely. You've been called for to receive your HR training, level 4. And are you agreeable to the terms and conditions of this training?
I suppose I am.
Excellent. Please sign here in triplicate and remove your shoes and any other items that may be of risk to yourself and your fellow colleagues.
So this time Dan's going to read through the terms of the contract. He learned to do that during the third exercise.
Can you make a success or okay, make an intensity check for me just to see what Dan
12.
says? Standard fare for Dan. It's not too. It's. I mean, he's a little bit perturbed over having to remove clothing and public property or private property in work. Um, he's he does have an option to tick a box to receive grippy socks. Would Dan like some grippy socks?
He will not tick that box. He will comply with the terms and conditions, sign the contract in triplicate, and remove any potential risk to the bouncy castle. So it would be probably his keys. I think he possibly has a belt, which is probably okay. It's probably one of those kind of standard. Doesn't have a belt, an actual buckle on it. It's just a standard
Okay.
leather strap. So yeah, I think that'd be all he do.
Does he keep on his lanyard?
Well, I suppose actually the lanyard, yeah, that would be one. Yeah. So the lanyard would go with the keys and his shoes, yeah.
Wonderful. Dan, ever the accidental style icon, is could you make a success or failure roll so we can see what type of socks Dan has on?
Nice. That's a 17.
Matched perfectly. I'm not going to say he's the man in black, but Dan's not going to a funeral, but maybe he is. He is dressed matching perfect.
It's the exact Pantone of black all the way
You would,
down.
in the same way, when you built a creator wrestler, that
Yeah,
like
you just copy the settings.
he is the greatest wrestling champion of all time. Vacant,
Yes.
matched in perfect tone, almost ninja esque.
Hmm.
If he were to stand in the shadows, you wouldn't even see him. If in fact he was wearing a balaclava.
Yes.
Yeah.
That comes in next level.
So he Dan is compliant, and he has other colleagues that are there.
Hmm.
Would Dan be happy to move towards his colleagues, or will he remain ever vigilant?
He remained ever vigilant. I don't think he's ever met these colleagues before.
Can you give me a? I'll take a success or failure roll. Let's determine it.
Yeah. Yeah, 5.
Yeah, doesn't hasn't met them. Is level 4. They're off in different sections. Think he hears a faint American accent off one of the other guys. It's like, oh, they're bringing in the international head. Anyway, and he was like talk, chatter about a bakery acquisition and something about a steakhouse or a butcher's something. You can just hear these like I think they're just naming businesses that their accounts have been interacted with, but catches wind of it and doesn't think of it. These seemingly are the field agents. Dan's office through and through. For whatever reason, he seems to be advancing through this training.
Hmm.
But these are people that seem to have real world practical experience. Just standing ever vigilant, ready. The klaxon might have caught him off guard if he was pressed to be told, but he's ready just in case. The HR representative moves forward. Hello, everyone. Welcome to HR Training Level 4. And over the Tannoy system, you hear beow, 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 beow. Everyone, woo, 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 yeah, woo. There's high fives, back slaps, and everyone's just really, really eager to have some fun. How's Dan feeling?
Absolutely no response. He's trying to figure out where the sound is coming from.
There's a there's a hush over everyone. HR representative says, "Thank you all for agreeing to the terms and conditions and allowing us to proceed with level 4. This, as you see before you, is an, we wouldn't say assault course. We wouldn't want anyone to get any ideas, now would we? And a very knowing chuckle from the other colleagues. Was that sarcasm or just a crap joke? Huh. I thank you all for removing any items that would be deemed dangerous to yourself and your fellow colleagues. The rules are thus: move through the assault course. Each zone, there are 6 of you, and there are 7 zones. If you do not make it through the zone, you will be removed from the competition. Your interaction will be deemed compliant, and we will thank you, and you will be able to step away while the competition continues. If you are first through, you will move on to the next section, and so on and so forth. If you are last to enter and all other colleagues have passed through to the next section fully, you will be deemed unsuccessful but still compliant. 6 colleagues, 7 zones. Are we ready? A usual tepid affair and the oddest noise, knowing to some fans of ruthless aggression and attitude era of professional wrestling. Are you ready? You'd almost be expecting a Scottish man with a whistle to step out.
Hmm.
Over the tannoy, you hear 3, 2, 1. Bow. The first zone is a very traditional ball pit. It goes up shoulder height, and you have to cross over the ball pit to the other side to be deemed successful. How you choose
Okay.
to move through this will give you either advantage or disadvantage. How the other colleagues will choose to interact will also determine your advantage or disadvantage. There's general playfulness and jostling, and everyone's just quite happy to go through, kind of giggling. A few of them throwing the balls around and just having a just kind of a nice time. And two of the colleagues are just kind of quite tentative and kind of discussing the fact that, well, if we both move, it said if we move through together, like, can we move through together? We just, he said each colleague has to move through fully on their own, but if we walk through at the same time, then yeah, it should be fine. And they just kind of like walk very casually with each other, stepping, stepping, stepping. And they're just kind of tentatively, like, just kind of behind Dan, just kind of, don't want to test out this theory. So, like, statistically speaking, Dan's looking pretty good to get through because these guys have an idea.
Hmm.
So, can you make a success or failure roll for me? We're going to go death save style. For those of you who don't
Okay.
know Dungeons and Dragons, this will be
Yep.
a subsequent 3 rolls.
Hmm.
If you're successful, if you're successful twice, then you will be successful overall. You may color this whatever way you see fit. How would Dan move through will help you gain advantages or disadvantages for each.
Okay.
So how would Dan move through? This is the first
So
zone.
yeah, so I think if once he's getting into the ball pit, the first thing he's doing is essentially just landing whatever like solid ground he gets in at, and kind of just like acknowledging that the balls are there and they're kind of the part of the obstacles and obviously the people around him. So he's just going to identify the path of least resistance and just try and walk straight through it and hold the arms out in almost like a T pose and essentially almost like wade through the balls as opposed
Yeah.
to bypass as opposed to like engaging in anything kind of like frivolous like fun or throwing the balls around. He's identified there is a direct path, or if there is a direct path, he's taking it and then going straight to the
Yeah.
gate.
Keeping his arms out, he's able to just like keep people from him, and people are like, oh, sorry, Dan. Gee, sorry. Yeah, great. Hey, Trump. People are
Mm,
like full on bazingaing up, under, and out, and just having like they're having just having a great old time. Like
mm,
two people have gone through ahead of him. Like so, one of them sprinting, and the other, quite frankly, aggressively elbowing. Um, but
Hmm.
they both made it through. So Dan's, if he proceeds, he's gonna make it through. Third man, no problem. So yeah, I'll happily let you roll with advantage for the first two. Dan's focused.
First
He
two.
knows what he's doing.
Okay.
So success
Uh,
or failure, please.
okay. So the first one is so with advantage it's a 15.
Excellent. And the
Okay.
second roll.
Second roll, 13 and yeah, 3. So 13.
Yeah. You see how strategy is gonna come in for you now. Gonna have to point out the rooms. You're gonna have to watch what people are doing. If
Hmm.
you just take on the course as is, you are at risk to being just compliant. But Dan isn't just compliant. He's passed the first zone. Hooray! Other people moving through, no problem. Dan moving through at number 3, 4, 5, and 6 are walking together. They try to step through at the same time, and Dan doesn't see them make it through. There is a small zone in between each area. They haven't made it through. They were right behind. They were behind. They were right behind him as he started. He's now third. Colleague 5 and 6 don't make it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Where everything has been about playfulness and fully cartoon noises. There's just a knowing they didn't get through. To what state? It's unknown. Over the tannoy, you hear the same HR representative say, "It is noted that colleagues must move through individually and completely. If you do not pass through each completion zone, there will be consequences, of which you have already been agreeable to in the terms and conditions." Second round. There are 3 very large swinging pendulums. We're channeling our deepest and greatest joy, that is the gladiators. Dun, 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 dun,
Happy to chill.
dun. So, 3 pendulums on a precariously placed bridge. Dan was in an office room, full on open plan office. This was a very openly designed little ball pit cage. Dan has now gone through into this new play zone. There's a bit of a drop. An optical illusion? Something for Dan to consider. But there's a lot less floor down there than he would have expected.
Hmm.
There's the bridge and what I can only think to describe as the unknown. Dan has 3 opportunities to move through this zone. Everyone quite perturbed by the fact that 2 people haven't made it. Some, you see a slight steal in 2 of the competitors. The other one, still quite laissez-faire about the whole thing.
Hmm.
No one is acting as eagerly as they did. So do you think Dan would hang back or would he go first?
I think he'd hang back a little to try and calculate what the what the actual pendulums are doing. So if it's kind of like if it's a rhythm he can kind of pick up on, he might be able to do it then. But he doesn't want to be the first to try it. He wants to see what other people would do first and then correct or copy.
Yeah, the colleague who's quite like easygoing about the whole, he's like, "Come on, lads, it's only a game," and just strolls out, just kind of walking and walks past the first one, no real problem. The second one seemingly is moving faster. There's intent on the second one, and the third one they're moving casually, and the third one picks them off perfectly, and they are sent careening into. There's no scream. There's no shout. It's just they fall below the bridge and nothing else. The other two people are audibly, visually, like they get it. Don't know where Dan's mind is. What's he thinking?
He's seen the second person, he's seen the first person take the tumble down below, and he's was kind of waiting for the drop as well. And he goes, "That would appear to be a long fall."
The You hear one of them go, "It's not a fall. It's just nothing."
Have you done this training before?
Part of the terms and conditions are that we do not interact frivolously with each other. I'm here for the reasons that I'm here, and you're here for the reasons you're here. From what I can see, statistically, we can all just move through the zones without any interaction from any of the other players looking directly at the other person, knowing full well this is the guy who was elbowing people out of the way. Look, if we're successful on our own merits, we all move through. Statistically, there's no reason why either one of us need to hinder each other. Agreed?
Agreed.
The uh, the other person just goes, ah, pushes the other guy just yeah, not just enough that he kind of lurches towards the pit, and he eyes up the metronome. Sprint at full pace, and again makes it through the first one relatively easy. Makes it through the second one with just enough. The third one has intent behind it. He stops and he if he kept running at that speed, it was hitting him. So there is a rhythm to it. You can move casually on the first one. You can try to move casually on the second, but the mechanism is watching your rhythm. If you go predictable for the first two, you will have to change tact on your third.
Hmm.
But that person clears it. So it's between Dan and the remaining friendly colleague.
Okay. I think Dan has enough information now to have a go at this pendulum, realizing, remembering the caveat to this whole thing that he can't be the last out, and doesn't want to believe that the current numbers deficit is going to play with him. So he's going to attempt to cross these pendulums.
What way do you think Dan would like to?
So I think what he's going to do is so he's going to get onto the first one standard enough once, like basically when the pendulum comes to meet him. But what he's going to do is he's acknowledged that the middle pendulum is faster movement, and the third one seems to be more kind of a anticipation to his speed. So what he's going to do is he is going to um wait until the middle pendulum is coming back towards him,
Mhm.
So he's not actually going to wait until, as it were, the first and second are meeting. He's going to try and basically jump across a little bit, and then I presume there's enough, like kind of like he'll have enough momentum, hopefully, to try and kind of rip onto the middle pendulum, and hopefully, because of the kind of the momentum of that middle pendulum, he'll be able to spring off and kind of like almost get some height. And the idea would be then just to basically wrap his arms around the third pendulum and kind of like, that'll kind of slow down his motion enough to get purchase and then jump over to the
Yeah,
end ledge from that.
yeah, cool. Yeah, no problem. First one you clear, no problem. Second, it's a tricky maneuver, so I'll have you roll just straight.
Straight roll. Okay. 19.
Wow, Dan's Dan's been doing his HR mandated calisthenics.
Hmm.
Yeah, he has gripped on, used his momentum. He has fully been able to kick off the second pendulum and onto the third. Um, I will let you roll with advantage for your final attempt.
Okay. 16.
Excellent. Dan moving clearly forward. The person in the next kind of loading zone's like a little bit dramatic.
On casual Fridays, it's important to be spontaneous.
You're starting to get it. Great. What do you think? What do you think about Happy over there? Do you think he's gonna make it through?
That would presume on him and his tactics.
He takes a similar approach as the first guy and just measures his pace casually to the first and then onto the second and makes an unholy dart at at the final one. Clears it but gets caught. Just, there's a very tight moment where if the material all of this was made from was any sharper, he'd be in a lot of pain, but he just makes it through, catches his leg, and he kind of stumbles a little bit. Would Dan try and help him?
He would prompt to assist without necessarily like reaching over to do it. Like he kind of like almost like get to a kind of a prone point, but he wouldn't put himself at risk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He kind of looks up and he goes, "No, he just kind of knows. Okay, if I needed to, yeah, yeah, yeah." He kind of no, kind of knowingly just nods, takes note, and we move on to
Hmm.
the third zone. How's Dan feeling?
He's very much out of his comfort zone and he's not having a lovely time, but he is very intent on completing this course one way or another. He has learned from the last two levels of HR training that the best way to get through it is to get through it.
The next, the next zone has it seems wider again. It's like the ball pit, like size. It's different dimension, and the floor is sturdy. There are three individual, how to say, not like the little roly things we used to go through and like the plex.
Hmm.
There's like three individual ones of those. Everyone can statistically make it through. There, this seems to have been a way to force people to have to meet in the middle for these things. So there's no reason why you can just get through casually. The first, slightly more cantankerous of our colleagues, just Goes, yeah, I'm not waiting around. Sprints through. One, two, three, other side. No problem. The other guy kind of eyes up Dan and goes, kind of notes him and moves off, hops through. One, two, three. Easy. You can absolutely roll with advantage for these. It is
Okay.
literally just this is a numbers game. So
Yeah.
this is a gimme for these.
Fair enough. There's just an 18 to 20 on the first roll, and then 2 and 19.
Given that you rolled a natural 20, it is the highest roll,
Hmm.
statistically very delicious. That and also a natural one being a critical failure. This is a critical success. The slightly friendlier colleague doesn't trust Dan. He made note of the fact that Dan didn't actively try to help him after he deemed quite friendly to be like, hey, can we just all like not mess with each other? But he's taken note of Dan
Hmm.
and he doesn't trust him. The other guy who is an outright bastard, you know full well that that guy's in it for himself. This other guy, as much as he was friendly, because of the natural 20, I'll let you know, he's he isn't actively seeking to interrupt with anyone, but he's very, very wary of Dan now.
Hmm.
Moving on to Area 4. Three people. Again, there's no reason why anyone shouldn't make it through. But to be absolutely sure, I will now be employing my own dice rolls. Because where's the fun without it?
Exactly. Can't all be fun and games.
Now, there is, again, a lot of hoping that there would be numbers and hoping that there would be people. This room, in a very wonderful game show that I wish everyone knew of, which is Takeshi's Castle.
Hmm.
I'm now going to draw three doors, three separate door combinations. There will be a left, a middle, and a right. There are, in the first zone, two wins and one loss. In the second zone, there are two wins, one loss. And in the last zone, there is one win and two losses. Loss meaning you will not make it through the door successfully. This is knock knock of Takeshi's Castle fame.
Hmm.
I have on me a drawn map of these doors. The HR representative pipes up and says, you seemingly have statistically won the game. If you so wish, you can now exit the game and you will be deemed compliant. Or you can choose to stay in the game, and if you are successful, you will be determined to be 100% compliant with all 10 remaining levels of HR training. A total of 10 HR levels of training. Dan's only on level 4.
Mm.
If he chooses to stay and wins, he's done with HR training. Or he can step away right now and be compliant and continue on with the rest of the levels. And if he loses, he'll be marked compliant, we think.
Dan's doing the calculation in his head, and he's come to a realization that if this is level 4 training, he doesn't want to know what level 10 is, so he's going to stay.
Um, the slightly, the friendly but wary colleague steps away. Goes, yeah, I'm done. I'm not staying in a room with these two fuckers. And he's just out. And he just walks out, kind of just walks toward to the walks back the way he came,
Mm.
and you hear him step out. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for that. Here are your shoes. Here's your lantern. Thank you so much, and best of luck to your trip in America. It is a lovely small town you'll be going to. He was like, never been to Iowa before,
Mm.
and he's gone. So there's two remaining colleagues with three remaining games, with one final seventh zone. For this, you will not be rolling. You'll be choosing.
Okay.
I have left, middle, and right. If you're successful twice,
Mm-hmm.
you'll only make it to the second level. I will be rolling success and failure for your now competitive colleague to see do they choose correctly. We're going to do 3 choices, 3 rounds, and I will roll.
Okay.
That is an 11 for your competitive colleague. He moves through to the next part of this. There are two two doors in this first section.
Okay.
Two of them you can pass through. One of them you will not be able to pass through. At which point you will determine what the other one is and you will move through. But
Yeah.
can you choose for me now, left, middle, or right?
Do I know which door this guy's already gone through? If he went first, or are we in separate alcoves?
Yeah, yeah. He moved first, so you saw him. So he moved through the right one.
Then I'll go with the right one.
Excellent. Ding 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 ding. I will roll for the second.
Okay.
There are two successful choices, one unsuccessful choice. Your colleague failed and went through the left door.
Okay. Therefore, I'll go with the middle door.
You are successful. Both of you have one each round. To determine who will move first, I will get both of us now to roll
Yeah.
a success or failure, and we will determine I was successful. Were you successful?
I got a 2.
You are unsuccessful. Dan
Hmm.
will be moving first.
Yeah. Okay.
There is one successful door. There are two failing doors. To let you know, the successful doors that you are aware of have been right
Mm,
and middle.
okay. So the right doors have been correct this whole time so far. Not sure about the middle. Not sure about the left.
You, it has been right
Mm,
and middle. You know were successful.
yeah. And from the deduction, the other one, well, assuming Dan was aware of the two and one rule, but
Yeah, I can,
yeah.
I can look at you right now and nod.
Yes.
All right doors have been successful.
Mm,
You choose first.
I'm gonna let the dice decide. He's gonna pick the left door. Am I ever glad to have rolled a one in my life?
There you go. One, two, three, four, five, six, left, middle, and right. Yeah.
I was doing like one and two left, three and four middle, five and six right. I was doing it that way.
Dan has won.
Hmm.
This competition has now changed drastically. Where it was, sure, it doesn't matter. We're all going to be fine. To lads, we can all win. It's easy to. There is a determinable success and fail state to this now.
Hmm.
So, how's Dan feeling about this? Does he recognize what he's at?
Well, he did take a complete risk by picking the left door because it wasn't based in anything in terms of statistics or form or anything like that. So this is all just based on probability. It was an even chance for all these doors. So he just picked what he thought was his kind of intuition, but he knows it's down to luck. So it's a case of he's relieved that he got through and that he's through first, but he is uncertain about what happens next and is in particular guarded from this person that he's competing with who doesn't seem to be who somehow doesn't seem to be who somehow seems to be having less fun than he is.
Where Dan is still considering fun. This person wants to win actively, almost desperately, waiting in the next area. This colleague is becoming decidedly more stressed, focused. Would Dan attempt to interact in any way with them?
Hmm. I go, I'm sure you're aware that that was all just based on luck. There is no reason to be stressed about this particular zone.
He kind of looks back over his shoulder. And if you fail, you have to do it again. I failed before. I don't want to have to go through it all again. I'm um, I'm gonna try and stay away from you. But if you come near me, I can't fail again. They just turn back away, focused on the next area. Where someone who was ultimately very cocky and brash, it's all become very real to them all of a sudden.
Hmm.
It's no longer a game to them. The next area is a game of skill. Each singular area has the determined, non branded Burf guns to avoid any copyright infringement. There are targets and there are tennis ball launchers. There'll be three shots. And statistically, score two are successful, but someone else is trying to score two. Success and failure is no longer a determining state for us. We will be taking in the actual number on the die
Mm.
each time. If you're successful, then you're successful, but how successful and what number you roll will, and hopefully, be a successful determining state for Dan. Both are in your own walled off, separate areas. Won't be able to interact with each other. Both will fire on a countdown. Both are acting in the same moment. So for your first target, can you roll for me, please? A d20.
Okay. Oh, 19.
Successful, as is your colleague. I'm writing down each roll I get,
Yeah, same here.
and we will determine the state of affairs after. Can you make your second roll, please?
Okay. That is a 9.
That has been unsuccessful. Both of us previously were successful. Both of us now are unsuccessful.
Ooh.
Can you make your final roll for me, please?
13.
Can you add
I can.
your two successful rolls
Yeah.
to determine the outcome, of which I'll be employing technology because I'm a sleepy bitch.
Well, I got so my 19 and 13 makes 32.
My 17 and 18
Oh. Very good.
make a 35.
Well, it makes sense. He's done these challenges before. That checks out.
But successful.
Hmm.
Just. This is the semi final.
Hmm.
Where at this stage, we should have had three people. And there's only two. So the setup is a little bit different. Each person was to be tethered and would have to run to the center of this area and hit a button. Kind of the good old fashioned Texas tornado, the corner.
Yes.
Have to hit the button and it goes good, much like our in Gladiator fame.
Yes.
So there's each determining person have been tethered to each other. So if you run farther and faster,
Hmm.
you can get there quicker. And if you run slower, there's a tethering and seatbelt like action.
Yeah.
Because this area was designed for three people, there is discernibly, you would think, more slack to be played with, depending how you go about this. Your movement will affect the movement of your competitor. If you stand still, they will have to stand still. You will be.
Hmm.
You're tethered together. The way it should have worked is three people run at the same time and you all make it, but one person's locked off. They have been determined to be inactive. So you can make it to what would be the second stage quite freely at full sprint. But Dan didn't take the grippy socks.
Hmm.
So he is at a disadvantage in that he will not be able to gain purchase on this inflatable playground. Seems almost like a mocking title at this stage. You can tell me how Dan would go about this. Would he try to resist and tire out his competitor, or would he try to be more direct, or any other combination you've seen from this competition? How would Dan go about it will determine the level of difficulty for you.
Yeah, so he's still doing the calculation here, and he knows that both people can still get through, considering this is meant to be for three people, because obviously we're still at a numbers advantage. So he would probably stand still, that probably try and get a read on the person that's there, and at least try and talk to them and say, we still got through here. We don't have to fight for this one. We can just politely walk and press the button at a staggered time, and we'll both get through. We don't have to fight each other.
Um, can you make a success or failure roll for me, but do so with disadvantage?
Oh, okay, that's advantage. It's a good thing because I just rolled a 20. Um, 3.
Yeah, you ain't having it.
In that case, then Dan is going to stand perfectly still.
Grant. We He is going to run at full pelt.
Yeah.
This will determine the physical state of affairs going into the final challenge. I will have you at each round determine what you would like to do.
Yeah.
For this first round, you have said you wish to resist,
Mm-hmm.
and I will ask you to roll a success or failure.
Okay. 16.
I've rolled a 12. Dan
Okay.
has remained comfortably in place while your colleague has run violently at the podium.
Mm.
They seem quite whiplashed by all of it. Can you make a success or failure roll and determine what you would like to do for this next part? Are you
So he's
remaining?
whiplashed. Is the person on the ground, or is he still kind of standing, just kind of winded?
He's staggered, but he won't be running as strongly. I'll be rolling with disadvantage for the next bit.
Yeah.
Um, will Dan choose to resist again, or is he gonna step forward?
I'm going to take a couple of steps forward, and then uh, anticipating if the rival runs, I'm going to stop dead again.
Okay, we'll play it the same way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have my roll.
Okay. 17.
Excellent. You don't budge, remain relatively comfortable. Your your colleague rolled a 2. They are fully on the ground. You don't know whether that was the snap of the belt or a part of their anatomy, but they get up gingerly.
Mm.
They still have that frightened, panicked, caged animal expression about them.
Yeah.
They are fully not going to run. They do look to you and they nod. So they are indicating that they will walk at a steady pace.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the same, but I will press the button first because obviously he's
Absolutely, yeah,
get himself
absolutely.
up off the ground. So,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. For this, for the fact that you have hit it first,
hmm,
and mainly for the fact of the state of your colleague, you will now be rolling with advantage for this next challenge.
okay,
You are unbuckled, um, seemingly fairly unemotioned, very stoic kind of
hmm,
colleagues. Not unlike Dan. He is amongst his people here, of the
yeah,
people donning and removing these various apparatus.
hmm,
And you step into the final zone. The, your colleague looks all but defeated, both physically, mentally, spiritually. Just, they're not okay. And you sense an air of desperation about them. Would Dan choose to engage or prepare himself in any way for this next undetermined event, the final event?
yeah, he would. He's not knowing what is in the next zone, but he's obviously has picked up on the kind of stressed nature of his rival and is decided to initiate some of his learnings from the previous HR course and engage in small talk. And he goes, "So, which department do you work in, and what is your name?" "My name is Dan Morton, and I work in data processing."
I was I was on a foreign assignment. It didn't go well. I was supposed to be part of AI development. The program just ran amok. Literally. Do you know how difficult it is to find a head? Do you know how difficult it is to find that head's separated body after a car explodes?
That seems like a very strange and oddly specific scenario.
Yeah, I was in data processing. I was selected for HR training. They send you back when you fail your tasks. It's the reason why that other guy got out. He can stomach it. He can go another 6 more. 6 more. I can't fucking do that. I'm hurt. Fucking ribs cracked. I hope you know what you're getting yourself in for. Data processing. Oh, wow. Do you ever think to look at what type of data you're processing? Dan.
I just do my job as is said in my contract.
There's a reason they took our lanyards away, man. Apart from the fact that I admittedly would probably try to strangle you with it. My name is X. The door opens. You walk through. There's a desk, 2 chairs, silhouetted. That seems to be back in the actual office room with the same HR representative standing at the table. It's dark. Don't know how long you've actually. It couldn't have been that long, but it's nighttime. You can see from the ever expanding vista. Time has moved differently here. Your colleague, whose name He was unable to say because the second he saw that door, he moved as quick as possible. He walks to the right hand side, acknowledges the HR representative. And without knowing it, he drops his head. He knows what's going to happen. What does Dan do?
Yeah, Dan scans around the room. Obviously, he sees a desk and the HR representative. But the one thing that's kind of taken him aback mostly is the darkness. And then he also takes in his rival's response. And he goes, "Did you fail at this as well?"
His head, having been hung low, he stares intently at the table. I don't plan on failing this. Although planning for anything in this, he looks at the HR representative. Esteemed company. Isn't something that I would recommend you do going forward. You adapted quite well. He used instinct. HR representative nodded. Yes, Dan used to be quite rigid. He seems to be really adapting to our work culture. On the table is a standard 6-chambered revolver.
This can't be a real gun, right?
Of which you will be able to determine on the actions that you take. There will be 3 rounds. On each round, you must choose him or me. You are not able to repeat that choice in the next round, and you will be rolling a d6 to determine the most successful or the most critical of failures. There are 6 chambers. You'll be rolling with advantage,
Okay.
meaning I can tell you for one singular round what would be the more preferred choice for that. I'm now writing out where are the bullets. Two colleagues. 2 bullets. One choice. Him or me. And I will let you go first.
I presume the gun's already loaded, isn't it?
That'll be determined by your action. There's 2 bullets. There are, I can tell you as the player, there's 2 bullets in this gun.
Okay.
Much with any game of Russian roulette, it will be spun It will be
Hmm.
closed, and the gun will be handed to you. At which point you will make a choice. You will not be able to repeat that choice for the next round. Do you choose him or me?
I'm gonna take the gun, and I'm going to aim the rival first.
Okay. Can you roll a d6 for me, please?
Hmm. You said I'm rolling with advantage, so do I know what I'm aiming for?
If you roll, I can let you know
Yeah.
what number. If you hit,
Yeah. I get you. Yeah.
I have two numbers written, so you
Yeah.
will be able to make an in-moment decision to either continue with the action that has been laid out in front of you,
Hmm.
or not.
Okay.
So determining on your roll will determine how I play out your advantage.
Okay.
Of which I will let it continue to the next round if it's not viable.
Gotcha. Okay, so in that case, my roll is 6.
Dan has a choice. His intuition tells him this will be a successful firing
Hmm.
of a loaded gun towards a nameless colleague.
Hmm.
He can choose in this moment to aim for the head, killing him instantly, aim for the body, wounding, or choose to miss.
In terms of the arrangement of the room, Dan is sitting. If I'm sitting here, and the rivals are presumably right across me,
Yeah.
where's the HR man?
To your left.
To my left, about what 45 degrees,
Yeah.
and we're on chairs. We're sitting on chairs. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Right. I've got the enough. I'm holding the tension of the trigger,
Mhm.
and I'm looking at him. He can. I think he can probably sense it as well. You might recall earlier on that I said it's important to be spontaneous on casual Fridays. Immediately swivel and shoot the HR representative
Yeah. Where do you choose to shoot him?
in the heart.
The HR representative stumbles back. He doesn't bleed. There's a spark, almost electronic, and you hear ah 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 ah. Very good, very good. I told them it would be an error to do this on casual. Have the margaritas. It hits the deck. The colleague lurches at Dan and goes, "You happen to be both the bravest and stupidest son of a bitch I've ever met. But you've got a great name. See you later, Dan." Sprints out the door.
But wait, I didn't catch your name.
There's a bunch of lanyards on the table. If Dan would choose to look.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and follow him out of the room, but obviously the door will close behind me, and then while the HR representative is kind of spasming out and freezing out and so forth. I'm going to take the time to try and find my shoes, my personal effects, and my own lanyard. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to try and find this guy's face on his lanyard and
Yeah,
see what's on that.
I'll give you that, but just for flavor,
Hmm.
can you make a success or failure roll for me?
Yeah. 13.
Yeah, successful. Your colleague's name is Dan Morton. The other colleague's name is Danielle Morton. The other colleague's name is Dan Morton. We wondered how many Dans there were. Selected through aptitude, interview, performance review. Can you honestly tell me a time Dan remembers before he worked in this company?
Roll a 5. He doesn't remember the last time he worked somewhere else.
Dan stands, staring out to a darkened sky. Something maybe mildly satisfying in that. He doesn't think he's going to have to do any more levels of HR training, but he most certainly is going to have to deal with disciplinary procedure. What would Dan choose to do in this moment while holding a loaded pistol?
He's going to keep the pistol with him in whatever pocket or jacket pocket he has on him. He's going to check to see if the HR representative has anything on him or what his exact nature, because there was no blood and he was giving off sparks. So that was highly unusual to Dan's recollection.
Yeah. The Can you make an intensity check for me?
Yeah. 18.
Dan walking over to kind of see what's going on. The HR representative lurches forward and grips the lapels and just almost in a whisper, without his mouth moving.
Hmm.
You really start to think on your feet. Good job. Remember, they can only discipline you if you agree to the terms and falls limp. Dan now in a darkened room with seemingly a robot colleague, and he hears security alarms going off. The now darkened room lighting with red, booming klaxons, footfall of security guards bursting through the door. What would Dan's choice be before we draw this episode to a close?
He's on the top floor of the building. There's security coming to get him.
Yep.
The HR representative is dead. And in the room itself, there is just a desk. The inflatable course is all gone.
The first part of the course, he saw the ball pit exists. It seems to have some type of weird liminal space beyond that. He has exited into the room as he knows it. There is the panoramic view of the windows,
Hmm.
or he can choose to turn to security. From what you've gathered from the HO representative, there will be a standard disciplinary procedure. He's
Hmm.
not under direct imminent physical threat, though his job might be.
Yes.
But Dan has the choice to either meet the discipline, what will eventually be a disciplinary hearing, or turn to the window in whatever way he sees fit.
Yeah, he's going to be standing in the middle of the room, obviously with the gun in his possession with only one bullet left. He can definitely hear more footfalls of security, so he knows he can't fight his way out. So his only option is to either escape or to confront his disciplinary hearing. So Dan will go, being spontaneous got me through the first exercise. Hmm, Maybe Casual Friday isn't that bad at all. And he's going to run through the window
Yeah.
to whatever fate leads him next.
Can you make a success or failure roll for me, please?
16.
Dan, having picked up the remaining bullets, a fully loaded pistol, and a few extra slugs to spare, runs full force at the window, crashing through it, falling the 13 floors, and landing very well placed shrubbery. Nice little 2-leveled effect. Very nice, but not too expensive. The levels of shrubbery catch his momentum, guide him gently to the floor. Looking back up the 13th floor now, he sees the same flashing red light moves throughout the building. They're coming. And with that, we will draw this episode of Brian's Mind Palace to a close. We now know Dan is not the only one, but he's broken protocol and stepped out of his rigid lifestyle. What he will do next and where he goes remains to be seen. But thank you so much, Jonathan, for playing along with us. I'm very happy for Dan to see what have we gotten ourselves into now.
The most boring man is having the most exciting adventure yet.
Thank you, everyone who have joined us. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you would have done, how you enjoyed what we have done here, and as always, bye.